How you doing? This is Jeff Brown with Videocast-How Dojo. So I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you about kind of some things that we've been discussing in some of the podcasts we've been doing on the Heartland Bujinkan Society, as well as just general discussions online. So there's a lot of debate in some of the groups about how you train, or it's sparring, a viable way of training. Does that truly prepare you for a real fight? There are others that believe that they don't train with any resistance, and they believe that you should use no force, and that's the right way. And there's all these opinions out there. So what I would propose with this video, we're kind of wanting to do a little bit more of a video podcast. And so I would encourage maybe even some video responses on the group. And I'm going to post this on the Heartland Bujinkan Society group as well as my Videocast-How Dojo page. I want to get some responses and input from everybody about force or no force, how you train, how you fight. My opinion, I'm going to tell you, my opinion, coming from experience as a law enforcement officer, as well as a martial artist, fights are different than the way we train, especially the way we train in the Bujinkan, as well as in some of the more karate-based and jiu-jitsu-based styles I've trained in the Aiki arts. For example, being in the Aiki, Jitsu, and Hapkido arts that I teach and study, along with the Bujinkan, we do a lot of joint locks and different types of things. And having had to do that on real fighting people, especially drunks, as a cop I dealt with drunks a lot, but having had to try to do those techniques on resisting, fighting, angry, pissed off, resisting people, I realized that just the technique by itself was very difficult to do. In 2013, in the month of June, I was in a car stop on a highway north of Topeka, Kansas, northwest, and the individual was over 100 pounds heavier than I was, and probably 6-7 inches taller than me. He's a big guy. And in a lapse of common sense, I felt like I could execute the arrest by myself, and I realized that police intimidation wasn't working, and officer, authority and forceful, language wasn't working, and so I tried to go into, the very traditional grab the wrist, try to go over figure 4 lock, stuff like that. Here's the reality of that. It didn't work. It did not work. And I can promise you, against that individual, the approach of no force and trying to be stylistic and traditional in your training, that wasn't going to work on this individual. I resorted to a little bit more forceful response with knee strikes to the common peroneal, to the femoral, the outside, the inside of the legs. None of that worked. Obviously, he was much stronger than I was, and I tried the joint lock stuff, and it did not work. This guy was not going to go to jail. He wasn't going to just allow me to do these techniques. He was resisting. He was fighting. And I eventually, hands up behind the neck, and I shot a knee into the right into the stomach, and it stunned him, but it didn't stop him. Okay, so how did that situation turn out? Well, quite honestly, I had citizens driving by on this highway, and they stopped, and they all jumped out, and we all just had to hold him there. Several of us, including women, that stopped us to help me. It was an amazing time because I got help from people of the community, seeing me struggling and fighting with this big Kansas redneck. And and then more obviously I was, screaming into Mike for help. And about every law enforcement agency within a billion miles showed up, and Taser won the day. I can tell you from experience of going through the Taser class and being tased that it works. It works really good on the vast majority of people. I'm sure there's some that may not be as affected by it, but it definitely worked on this guy. And when I got tased, it definitely worked on me. So the point is that and along with many, many other violent situations that I had to deal with in law enforcement, I learned that my martial arts experience and knowledge helped. But there had to be in order for it to really and truly be effective, there had to be aggression, there had to be force, there had to be strength, because it never worked like it did in a dojo, where a guy throws a punch at you, or girl throws a punch at you, you block, and you do your technique, and they fall down, and you're like, wow, I'm really good at this. The reality is that those things are based on a cooperative partner in training. But they should never be presented as this is how the fight will actually happen, because, friend, let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. It does not happen. Has my training helped me in real fights as a police officer? Absolutely it has. It has. And it's still, I'm sure it would today. It's been a while since I've gotten to a fight of any significance. In fact, the fight in 2013 on that car stop was the last one I was in. And I was injured, pulled a lot of tendons and strained a lot of muscles just holding on and trying to keep him from destroying me. But the reality is this. There is value in the style that we train in, especially in the Bujinkan. There are a lot of great concepts, and there are a lot of great teachings, and I love them. But I'm going to probably upset and offend some people right now, but I'm going to give you the truth as I see it. If you take an experienced Bujinkan martial artist and who has never trained using real force, real resistance against a fighting person that's struggling, trying to kick your butt, and you put him against a skilled street fighter or a skilled, semi-skilled grappler, or somebody that all they want to do is smash your face in repeatedly, I would be afraid for that teacher who has never been in a real fight, who has never really had to truly fight for their lives. Okay, I'm not discrediting their knowledge, I'm not discrediting their skill, but you fight like you train, and you train like you fight. That's what we say in the law enforcement and the military folks do. You have to train against a resisting opponent. You have to train preparing for real types of attacks. If all you are skilled at doing is defending against a ski lunge punch, you are going to be coming up short in the real thing. Okay, so what I would encourage you to do in training is, like what Rob Renner told me. He came out to Kansas and we got to do some training earlier this year, and he really opened my eyes to some things. And it was never to discredit anybody, but it was to make a point that there are 5 levels of resistance, and number 1 being no resistance. And the truth of the matter is that the vast majority of us never get past that. We stand there, we stand in our Ichimonji, or we stand in, Shizen, and we step back into Ichimonji and we do this, and the person lunges and stands there, and then we do our technique. Okay, that's a good way to learn the ideal phase of the technique, the learning and ideal phase. But, folks, here's the truth. If that's all you're doing, if you're not training against somebody that's going to rush you and throw you to the ground, and if you're not prepared to fight and defend yourself on the ground against somebody that's trying to kill you or smash your face in, then you're fooling yourself. Okay, you're fooling yourself. There are some people in our group that I know train for the real thing. Simon Yao, yeah, definitely. His school, they train for the real thing. There's others. Obviously, I'm not going to pick on everybody. Mark Rimke, Shihan Mark Rimke, he studies Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, if I'm correct, and I believe that's the truth. And there are other people. Rick Ray, Shidoshi Rick Ray, sorry. They train in real things. There are plenty of others. Numerous others that train to prepare themselves for the reality of real violence. Okay, and there's many, many more, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. Okay, I know there are plenty of others that train for the real thing, and kudos to them. But if all you're doing is you're playing little dojo games and you're on there insulting other people and trashing other people, but you're not really training for the real thing, maybe you need to come to grips with the truth. So that's my opinion. And again, I'm not here to try to insult anybody. I'm not here to pick a fight with anybody. But I want to start a good discussion and invite you to show your truth as you believe it. If you believe that you can train for real violence without any resistance or that's fine. Okay, that's fine. We invite you to share your opinion. I want to keep it respectful. I don't think that we need to get in here and insult each other. As you know, the Heartland Bujinkan Society, as well as the Kudakudasa Dojo, is all about respect. Okay, so I do want to throw this out there. I am not a Bujinkan teacher. Okay, I am a teacher who studies the Bujinkan, and there's a difference, obviously. The Bujinkan teachings have definitely improved my understanding and my skills, but I teach other things. Okay, I train differently than a traditional Bujinkan practitioner does. I'm learning the Bujinkan way, and I believe that my understanding of the Bujinkan in combination with what I've already learned and what I've already done career-wise as well as martial arts-wise will only make me a better teacher in the long run. So again, this is Jeff Brown. I don't mean to step on toes, but let's weigh in on this in this podcast. Let's weigh in on this. I want to get your opinions. I want to start a good discussion in regards to how you train, and if you think that you can be a great combat shooter without really shooting real bullets, then I'd like to see how you do that. Obviously, there are some good ways to train and practice, but I think it's time that we put some things into perspective. And I know, just based on experience, that everybody I've ever fought, they wanted to kick my butt. So, and some of the martial arts stuff worked, some of it didn't. And it was kind of disheartening at first when I realized that, dojo tactics weren't always working on the street. So again, this is Jeff Brown. Let's weigh in on this. I want to hear what you got to say. Take care. And oh yeah, just for those of you to know this inside joke, OGS.